There is a policy framework which has been codenamed Rapex. This is a policy that intends to rationalize, first of all, services in government, but also the agencies that provide those services.
Our cabinet directed that Ministry of Public Service handles this policy shift of rationalization, because we had a bloated government where almost every ministry was duplicated with an agency, an authority, or a commission somehow, or a board. And some of them were duplicating the actual work that is actually done by the ministry. And we felt government was being scattered. We were not in harmony. So government decided that we should rationalize government through the mergers, transfers, abolishments, and any other.
The purpose for this study was to see how government can cut down expenditure, at the same time increase efficiency through elimination of duplications, overlaps, cutting down on expenditure, so looking at the human resource requirements, and also study the bureaucratic processes which lead to service delivery.
And it is backed by the National Development Plan under Chapter 20, Objective 2. It talks about the government architecture, and that is where rationalization is supported by the national policy framework. An example is where we have the National Planning Authority, then the National Population Council, and the Physical Planning Board being merged into one institution. We have another type of rationalization where institutions are being mainstreamed into the mainstream public service, into the ministries. I will give an example. For Ministry of Public Service, the National Archives, Records and Archives Center has been mainstreamed back into the ministry. If I give an example of say Ministry of Works, then the UNRA, or Uganda National Roads Authority, and the Uganda Road Fund are being mainstreamed into Ministry of Works and Transport, meaning that the functions which were earlier being done by these two institutions will revert to the Ministry of Works and Transport, and therefore the institution cease to exist. We've been having proliferated structures, governance structures in terms of boards. You find one board has over 20 something members, another one has 5, another one has 15. The harmonization of these structures too. We are looking at government having lean structures, and therefore we want to eliminate redundancies.
If you recall, some time back in the 80s, many ministries, and 90s, we had many agencies created by government. So it was felt that maybe if we have agencies properly funded and with dedicated, focused people, they would provide these services to the public in an efficient manner. Over time, it became clear that having these agencies and so on was very expensive, and that many more agencies were being formed, and that the purpose of providing a cost-effective and efficient service was being overtaken by the desire to have very good remuneration by the people who are in those agencies. And therefore, the traditional service, public service, is weakening and becoming quite inconsequential. So this background really informed the shift.
Under Cabinet Minute Extract 43 CT 2021, Cabinet directed the Ministry of Public Service to implement the recommendations of rationalization of government agencies and public expenditure.
So in 2021, governments agreed to some of the institutions, not the entire 156, but zeroed down to just about 60. And the 60 faced a period of appeals where the institutions were requested to justify their existence.
So cabinet constituted a cabinet subcommittee chaired by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, and at that point was the Right Honorable Rugunda, and this cabinet subcommittee was to validate the recommendations vis-a-vis the institutions that were affected. Many of the institutions came forth to try and justify why they think they shouldn't be rationalized. But many of the institutions had valid points, because maybe some information had not been given to the people who were doing the review.
And essentially see whether they were money-making institutions, that is revenue generating, or regulatory, purely regulatory, and looking at compliance in terms of their service delivery and the impact to the state. The figure was reduced further from 60 to 54 agencies. And those are the ones that we have been rationalizing.
At implementation stage, we already have supporting documents. We have a change management strategy, we have implementation guidelines. The implementation guidelines are on how we manage the human resource in the transition period, on how we manage the assets and liability in the transition period, on how we support the people who are affected in terms of psychosocial support. So all of these are in place, and the implementation team has already started on change management, and we look at the institutions that are under that line ministry, and then we bring them together and we talk to everybody, right from the management to the last staff.
Ministry of Justice has been at the lead, one of the lead agencies in this process. And as I said earlier, we've been mainly providing legal assistance for his process. After the bills became law, we are providing legal assistance for purposes of implementation, the ensuring that the agencies, for instance, that are being mainstreamed are mainstreamed in the lawful manner, that the affected staff are paid terminal benefits in accordance with the law. So any question as to what are the entitlements of these officers has been resolved by the Ministry of Justice. So our role is ongoing in terms of implementation. It has not ended, but we are there to deal with any legal issues that arise along the way.
These people have been working in agencies and authorities. To come back to the ministries, because we expect to bring them back to the ministries, is where they came from, actually. Bring them back. They bring the best practices of corporate governance in the mainstream public service. And we expect tangible results from these people because they have been doing it on contract basis. And what is going to be good about it, also this staff, most of them will be absorbed back in government. Those who are engineers will go back to Ministry of Works. Those who are engineers under electricity, they are going back to their ministry. The common cadre will go back to their ministries as well, and they will be redeployed across government. As we talk now, the recruitment process is ongoing. Positions were advertised because it is not an automatic walkover to public service. You have to fulfill all the procedures of public service. And the adverts have been running, others are still running. People have applied, people have gone through interviews, and most of them have been absorbed. Those adverts that are still running, those who don't qualify, will be given their severance packages and they will go home and look maybe for other things to do. So government has catered for everybody, except we are requesting them to be patient.
How government is prepared to pay the staff affected by Rapex. And I want to say that in preparation of this budget, the financial year 24-25, we were asked to make provision to fund the severance package. And at the time of finalizing the budget, we made provision for Ministry of Education and Sports, an amount of 1.62 billion. And this is affecting the Higher Education Financing Board, the National Library of Uganda, and UNESCO. For Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, we provided for Wildlife Education Center and Wildlife Authority in an amount of 11.6 billion. And for Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, we provided 280 million, specifically for the National Youth Council, National Women's Council, National Children's Authority, and the National Council for Disabilities. For the Ministry of Trade, we provided 1.34 billion for Warehousing System Authority, the Free Zones Authority, and the Export Promotion Board. For the Ministry of Internal Affairs, we provided 2.78 billion. This is mainly for citizenship and immigration control, because there are some functions which are shifting. The Bureau for Non-Government Organizations, the Bureau for, and NIRA. There are some functions which are moving between URSP and NIRA. And then for the National Planning Authority, we provided 9.3 billion, because the functions of the National Population Council and the Physical Planning Board have been merged under the National Planning Authority. And then the Ministry of Water and Environment, specifically for geology, 2.25 billion was provided. And then under agriculture, we had provision of 800 million for the Trypanosomiasis Control Council and the Agricultural Chemical Board. So this money is already in the budget for this year. And once the process is concluded, we should be able to pay. I also want to say that specifically for the physical planning and also for National Population Council, much as we had appointed an accounting officer, now that the bill has been signed through law, we are going to shift the budgets of those two institutions to the National Planning Authority through utilizing Section 20 in the Public Finance Management Act, where there is a provision to shift the budget where the functions are clear. So on those ones, we are prepared, and there is provision to meet the severance package for those institutions and the staff affected by the restructure. So I think in terms of how much, again, the amount is 29.97 billion, which is already in the budget. But you were also aware at the time we started the process that the amount required was initially 79 billion, but later on it was reduced to 76 billion. So once the process is concluded in Parliament and the bills have been signed onto by His Excellency the President, we shall proceed and provide resources. And this, of course, will be through supplementary, because they are not in the current budget. So, when will this happen? As I said, the money is already in the budget, and we should be able to make this provision, some of which have already been provided in the first quarter, expenditure limits. Any balances, we should be able to top up either in the first quarter or second quarter. And then on our part, we shall have concluded the process.
A lot of benefits out of this arrangement. One is that, yes, money which is being spent on, let's say, boards and hiring officers and on other expenses like NSSF and what have you is going to be conserved now and returned to the Treasury. And this money can be used in financing other programs, but above all, really, raising the salaries of the workers. And once that is done, then obviously the morale of the workers will go up.
Government of Uganda is saving 950, those are the short-term savings, 956.7 billion shillings. And we require 73.033 billion shillings to pay off the people who will be affected. And as per the records or the calculations, the records that we have, 2,200 staff will be affected.
Long run, able to save up to 1 trillion shillings. And then with time, even there will be more savings. So 1 trillion is good enough, to be plowed into other activities. In that even supervision is going to be easier. You have one entity that you are looking at, and they are all moving in one direction, so it's going to be easy.
When we talk about improvement of service delivery, we're expecting that with the cut down of bureaucracy and bureaucratic steps in service delivery by eliminating useless or redundant processes, we'll be able to achieve shorter timelines in terms of issuing of licenses or applying for approvals, authorizations.
We need efficiency. There isn't a lot of money now to run all these things, so you cannot afford to be very wasteful. There is an element of being really frugal in government expenditure.
Now, the implementation of Rapex was put into two main phases. One phase was to design structures. And then the second phase was looking at the legal framework that give effect to the implementation of all the recommendations under Rapex.
On the Ministry of Justice side, we've been dealing mainly with the legal implications of the proposals. And the implications from a legal point of view have mainly been in respect to the change in the legal framework for the laws of the agencies affected. And that's where we have come in, mainly in terms of amending the laws to ensure that we give effect to the directive.
The bills were 41 that were presented to Parliament. And as we talk now, 37 bills have been passed. 33 have been assented to by His Excellency the President. 3 bills are still pending assentment, and the 2 bills are pending in Parliament.
The Constitution Amendment Bill and the Karamoja Repeal Bill that are still in Parliament for consideration. One was withdrawn, that is the National Tribunal Bill, but the rest have been passed by Parliament. I believe as we speak of today, I think only 2 have not been assented to by the President. But on the whole, most of the laws that are required to give effect to the to Rapex.
So where are we now is that the first phase, which includes consultations, design of structures, approval of structures, this one has been concluded.
Staff have been placed under new structures and are being absorbed into the various institutions. And this has been undertaken by the various service commissions. The Public Service Commission, the Health Service Commission, and the Education Service Commission. under this implementation, the main highlights is that there's been a validation of staff through interviews from the service commissions. And we are seeing rationalization, the fruits of rationalization taking a shape.
So basically, that is what this Rapex policy reform is all about. Then after that, after the agencies, we now look at the government itself. We look at the ministries. Are they efficient? Are they too many? Are they too few? What can we do? Can we mainstream? Can we, yes. Then after that, we now look at a model, the model of government, which model would be very efficient and cost effective, considering the changing requirements of the people and the expectations people are having of their government. So after this, we now move to the entire government infrastructure architecture and see how best it can be re-engineered to provide better service that meets the expectations of the public.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ugandans, we want to thank you for the cooperation. We want to thank His Excellency for his leadership and guidance throughout this process. We want to thank the ministers who sponsored all these bills. We want to thank the Attorney General's chambers because they helped us to draft. The Parliamentary Commission helped us to draft. And we want to thank Parliament, the Right Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and all the staff of Parliament, plus the Honorable MPs for working very hard and very fast to make sure all these bills are legislated upon and passed. We want to thank you very much. And we request for more cooperation because we need to conclude by absorbing staff and paying them. Then the way forward will come for those agencies that are not yet worked upon. The work is still in progress. The technical team will give you the roadmap for the next phase of rationalization.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.